Aaron Judge is tied for the baseball home run lead, and he's calling out his own team. Victor Wembanyama is about to play in his first playoff game ever. He's 7'4", 22 years old, and pretty close to being 100%. And the Dallas Cowboys are 1 week away from the 2026 NFL Draft with 2 first-round picks, a $7 million kicker offer on the table, and Jerry Jones acting like Jerry Jones. I love baseball, basketball, and football, which means all three of my interests are in the headlines all the time, at the same time. And today we're doing all of it. NBA playoff chaos, NFL offseason winners and losers, MLB storylines you need to be watching, 3 sports, 1 show, all hot takes. Let's get into it. The 2026 NBA playoffs tip off this weekend, and there are 3 teams that every contender is secretly praying they do not see. Now look, I live in Texas, so yeah, Wemby's on this list. 22 years old, 7'4", first playoff game of his career, and he just said he is really close to being 100%. If you're Portland, good luck. But he's not even my number one. The team I think nobody wants to see, that's coming up. Stick around. Because if I disrespected your squad, you're going to want to fight me in the comments. Moving to the NBA. We have playoffs fast approaching. Starts this weekend. In the East, we got the number 1 Pistons taking on the number 8 seed, which will be decided tonight in the final play-in games. The Pistons will either be playing the Magic or the Hornets. Then we got the number 2 Celtics taking on the number 7 76ers. The number 3 Knicks versus the number 6 Hawks. 4 seed Cavs versus the 5th seed Raptors. And in the West, we got the number 1 Thunder playing against the number 8 seed, which will be decided tonight between the Suns and the Warriors. Number 2 Spurs will be taking on the 7 seed Trailblazers. Number 3 Nuggets will be taking on the number 6 Minnesota Timberwolves. And then we got the 4th seed Lakers taking on the 5th seed Rockets. And just if you're keeping score, I picked play-in winners, and the Clippers choked. Hornets won, beating my Heat by cheating, aggravated assault, and ref incompetence. Otherwise, my picks were not too bad. There's 3 teams that I think nobody really wants to play in the playoffs. We're going to pick 2 from the West and 1 in the East. I'm going to start with the Spurs. They have Wembanyama, and he's the ultimate Swiss Army knife. He's Defender of the Year type of guy, MVP type of guy, game changer on both ends of the court. Yeah, they're young, but I'll take the overall talent over any other team right now. Wemby, Castle, Harper, Fox, good bench, disciplined, well coached. Spurs got a lot going for them. Based on that talent and how they have looked against the best teams, I think it'll be a failure if the Spurs do not make the Western Conference Finals, especially with the Lakers in their injury state right now and the youth of the Rockets. The Rockets are young, and they're just not gelling right now. I talked about it in a recent video, but it seems like the team, the young core, did not take another step this year. It seems like they're kind of stuck in the mud. Second team in the West that you do not want to face is the Thunder. They're defending champs. Shea is the MVP. He's a finals MVP. 2-way player that can get things done in crunch time. He defends well, and he leads by example. He doesn't run his mouth a whole lot. He just goes out there and balls on both ends of the court, and he does it until his body tells him to stop. Love Shea. The Thunder have it all. They really do. It's gonna be a good playoffs. They got size. They can shoot. They're good at defense. They got great coaching. You name it, they got it. The only weakness seems to be the San Antonio Spurs. They've set a really high bar, so if they fail to make the finals again this year, I think this season is a failure for them. And then in the East, I don't think anybody in the Eastern Conference really wants to play the Celtics. I know the Knicks got close to beating them, and the Knicks beat them last year, and they were pretty much dominating that series before Tatum even got hurt. But I think this year's different. I think the Celtics have put together a very solid team, while the Knicks, I don't think they've gotten a whole lot better from last year. Celtics have the best duo in the East with Tatum and Brown. They're both all pro types in the prime of their career, and they've won it before. And Tatum looks extremely motivated this year. It's impressive. And they're a matchup nightmare. They could play small, they could play big. They're terrific in exploiting a team's weakness on defense. They got a lot of people that can score, and they know how to isolate a poor defender and attack. And the Knicks have a couple of those. If they lose in the first round, then their rebound year is an extreme failure. They seamlessly adjusted to Tatum out of the lineup and then back into the lineup, and they seem a lot better than last year. They should make it to yet another conference finals, or I will be extremely disappointed. Um, who's y'all's dark horse to upset somebody in the first round? Please leave it in the comments. We can pick up a conversation. I personally think Minnesota is going to make a first round upset over Denver. 26 NFL draft is 1 week away, and half the league has already won or lost their offseason. We just don't know it yet. I was a Cowboys fan, and I've been living in mock drafts. The Cowboys have 2 first-round picks, pick 12, pick 20. Jerry Jones just offered Brandon Aubrey a $7 million a year contract, the biggest for a kicker in the NFL history. Is that a W or no? I've got 2 big winners and 1 big loser of the 2026 offseason, and one of these moves straight up opened a Super Bowl window. Let's get into it. Moving to the NFL. Going to talk about the best and worst moves of 2026. For context, I'm using NFL.com article titled 10 Best Moves of the 2026 Offseason So Far. I'll leave a link in the description if y'all want to check it out. And I'm going to start with an entire team because I think they made a lot of great moves. And so I'm just going to call the Raiders offseason a good move. And then I have one from this best of list that I do not think is a good thing. And that will be my worst move of today. The Raiders and the botched Max Crosby trade. I think that's actually going to somehow work out in their favor. It's going to be interesting. They still got Max Crosby. They went out and signed Kirk Cousins to be a placeholder mentor for Fernando Mendoza. Fantastic idea. They went out and got young at linebacker with Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker. Both went to Georgia. Both are studs. Fantastic move. And having 2 linebackers that speak the same language and are highly skilled, like that's massive victory for the Raiders. Veteran nickelback Taron Johnson is going to be great for that secondary. Tyler Linderbaum will be amazing for Mendoza's development. And so will Kirk Cousins. They got this kid in a good spot, I believe. And Kirk Cousins knows his role this time. He signed on knowing that they're drafting Mendoza. In Atlanta, they signed him to a massive contract and then immediately went out and drafted quarterback number 7, which Kirk was not prepared for. Losing the 2 first-round picks in that Max Crosby trade, that does hurt because they are a young team. They're obviously in a rebuild. Max Crosby doesn't necessarily fit the timeline with a lot of the new signings. But Max Crosby is a beast. Having him on your team is not a negative. It's going to be fantastic for Kwity Paye's development. And Paye's going to have a lot more single coverage during his pass rush. I mean, I love all of it. And I'm excited to watch the Raiders next season. I might even fly to Vegas to watch a game and eat some food. So, Wakuda and Joel Robuchon, y'all get ready. Get your plates out. Raiders still need some wide receivers and to keep adding around the edges before they'll really be able to compete in a tough AFC West. They have the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos. Those teams are not going anywhere anytime soon. So, Raiders aren't going to come out and make the playoffs or anything. But I love the moves. I love what they're doing in Vegas. I'm extremely excited for them. Huge move coming up. The Rams traded for Trent McDuffie from the Chiefs. They also went and signed the Chiefs' other cornerback, Jalen Watson. So they got their outside's covered with two guys that know each other, know how to play the position, and the Rams' defense is very good anyways. So to tighten up that secondary, which I think is probably the reason they weren't playing in the Super Bowl, was because of a weaker secondary. Like, that's fixed now. And the rest of their team is pretty much the same. I love this move for the Rams. And they went out a couple years ago and traded Jalen Ramsey before winning that first Super Bowl. This kind of seems similar, right? I think it's a good omen for where the Rams are headed. And at the end of the day, the season's going to come down to the wide receivers and Matthew Stafford's health. Can Devontae Adams keep doing his thing? And can he keep dominating in the red zone like he did last year with Stafford? Like, that was impressive. If Devontae can keep doing that, they're in good shape. Puka, I don't really know what's going on with him. I'm not going to speculate what his issues are. But that's unsettling, right? They need him to be in top shape. And I think that's what he's working on. I think he'll get there. But that's still a big question mark looming over. And yeah, again, like if they go, I talked about this previously, but if they go out and get Mekhi Lemon in the first round, like Schrager has them projected to do, man, get your popcorn ready. The Rams are going to be fun. Now, here's my bad move. And I don't necessarily think, like, the player is good. It's just I don't think this team should have been making this move. Pittsburgh trading for Michael Pittman, formerly of the Colts. It's just a head scratcher to me. I want Pittsburgh to be good. It's good for the game when Pittsburgh is good. But we don't know who's playing quarterback. Rodgers isn't really throwing deep passes these days. He's an all-time great. But like everybody, like all of us, decline is inevitable. I'm 41, and like it hurts after a game. I play soccer. It hurts. My leg, my hips, it hurts. Again, Pittman is a good player, and pairing him with DK Metcalf will be a great addition to the offense. But it doesn't make this Steelers team a Super Bowl contender. I don't even know if it puts them back into the playoffs or in a winning playoff game. So what exactly are they doing? Like, I would rather package those two picks to move around in the draft and start building for the future. They signed McCarthy. So, like, I'm not sure if he's a stopgap or if they actually believe they can win with this roster, but I personally do not see it. And I don't see McCarthy being there longer than 3-4 years, and that, I think, might even be long. Eventually, you got to start losing some games and rebuild. The Steelers have been very impressive. Tomlin is a fantastic coach, kept them above 500, kept them battling and getting into playoffs. But I think it's time to rebuild. At a certain point, you got to throw in the towel and make a new plan. Which move did y'all like? Which move in the offseason changed your Super Bowl prediction? Please leave it in the comments and we'll get into a conversation. Again, I think the Rams will probably be in the Super Bowl. We got to see. The NFC is tough. Actually, all of football is pretty even and tough at the top on both sides, like AFC, NFC. Football is fantastic. The 2026 MLB season is barely 2 weeks old, and we already have chaos. The Dodgers are chasing a three-peat. Skubal's chasing a third straight Cy Young. There's a lockout looming after the season. And my Yankees? Captain Aaron Judge tied for the MLB home run lead. He just passed Mickey Mantle, and he is already calling out his own team for pressing. They're 10-9. They're swept by the Rays in April. So in this video, I'm giving you the 3 storylines that are going to define the entire season. And yeah, I've got hot takes on all of them. Let's go. Moving to baseball. I'm going to talk about the biggest storylines, or a couple of the biggest storylines in 2026 that you need to watch. And for context, I'm using a New York Times article on the top 12 storylines of the 2026 MLB season. I will leave a link in the description if y'all want to check it out. And yes, again, like I'm only focusing on 3 of them today. I might go make an entire video discussing the looming lockout and the financial disparity in Major League Baseball, but I don't really have time to cover that in this kind of video. Dodgers looking to three-peat. Skubal looking to Cy Young three-peat, which only Greg Maddux and Randy Johnson have ever done. And this is a interesting caveat. Only one player has won the Cy Young when changing teams at midseason. That was Rick Sutcliffe in the 80s. Why do I bring that up? Tarik Skubal's market is going to be scorching hot this year. He's in the final year of his controlled years with the Detroit Tigers. They have not had progress on signing a long-term deal. He just won $31 million in arbitration. That's going to be a high-dollar deal, and the Tigers might very well trade him at the trade deadline, especially if they get a very nice package. So it'll be interesting if he can win the Cy Young after being traded midseason. And then we're also going to touch on the automated balls and strikes system that has been implemented in the major leagues this year. I find it very fascinating. But let's start with the Dodgers and their three-peat. They brought back most of their 2025 roster, minus Kershaw, but he was done anyways. Like, I love Kershaw. I remember his rookie season. I remember the first time I saw that curveball, and he had like a 4 ERA at the time, but I was like, this guy is going to be good. Like, that curveball faked me out, and I'm watching it on TV. They went and signed Kyle Tucker, elite power speed third baseman, and a threat for 30-30. He's 20-20 all the time. Ohtani would think that's cute, being the only 50-50 guy. But Kyle Tucker, great discipline, and just another tough out in an already stacked Dodger lineup. And then they went and signed Edwin Diaz, top 3 closer in baseball, and also stole him from the Mets, who will most likely be there in the playoffs. Huge coup for the Dodgers. And their other bullpen pieces are coming back. That was their weakness last year, right? So Dodgers went and added an awesome bat to the lineup that won the World Series, and then went and fixed their bullpen mess. They're going to be tough, and there's not many teams that'll be able to beat them. I'll make a video about that early in the baseball season as well, and which teams I think can actually upset them in the playoffs or the final World Series. Are the Dodgers bad for baseball? I do not think so. They're playing within the rules of the game and the collective bargaining agreement. You can't blame the Dodgers for playing in LA and having that market. You can't blame them for knowing how to market their team and their players to generate revenue off the field. It's fantastic business practices going on in the Dodgers organization. And you can't be mad at that. You can be jealous, but they're not doing anything wrong. And baseball has always been a feeder league. And some organizations decided long ago that that's what they are. They're an MLB level farm team. They're not going to spend a whole lot of money. And when their players graduate from the 6 years of control, they'll let them go. They'll trade them or just let them go. That's just baseball. Again, can't be mad at the Dodgers for that. Skubal, looking for a Cy Young three-peat, is absolutely phenomenal. Is he the best pitcher in baseball? That's a tough one. I really like Paul Skeens. I think he might be the best pitcher in the NL, and he may very well be the best pitcher in the world in a year or two. But I believe Skubal owns that title right now. Garrett Crochet is coming on strong, but for right now, it's Tarik Skubal. Go through a couple of the numbers. Last year, he was second in ERA. Won 13 games on a decent Tigers team, tied for 12th, but wins don't really determine a pitcher's quality. Tied 4th for innings pitched, so he's a workhorse. Allowed 141 hits, gave up 33 walks, which had him a whip of .89. Less than one guy on base per inning. Fabulous. Fabulous for a workhorse pitcher that pitched 195 innings last year. And he had 241 Ks. That was second. And the hitters only batted 200 against him. I want that dude on the mound when I'm playing defense all the time. Moving to automated balls and strikes. I've been slow to accept changes in baseball. The status quo has gotten us this far, and I really love the game of baseball. So all of the changes I've been very cautious with. But I ended up loving the pitch clock. I love the increase in stolen bases with the bigger bases and like moving them around a little bit. So I kind of love the rule changes so far. And I am loving the automated balls and strike system. So this old head is changing his ways a little bit. Um, Umpires are right 94% of the time. And I've always said that if we have the technology to challenge plays quickly and get it right, then we need to do it across the board the entire game. So I don't really like the limited challenges in the ABS system. I would like to see, and I would like to see an automatic replay after the last pitch of the game, right? Nobody needs to challenge that. That's just if the end game ends on a called ball that walks home a guy, called strike that strikes a dude out, I want that replayed automatically. Because I've seen it. We've all seen it. It happened in the playoffs last year. It happened in the World Baseball Classic to the Dominican Republic this year. Bad calls send people home for the last pitch of the game. Like, and you only get 2 challenges. You're not saving one of those for the last pitch of the game most of the time. I think that should be an automatic rule, just like the NFL has under 2 minutes every scoring play gets a replay. Like, we need to implement something like that. And here's another reason why I love the system. I was watching a game the other day, and Jazz Chisholm and the umpire got into a heated exchange in the middle of Jazz's at bat. Manager Aaron Boone came out, calmed everything down. And the next pitch was a little inside. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this dude's calling out a ball. I mean, a strike, because they just had this heated exchange. Sorry. And he didn't. He called it a ball. Umpires are amazing at the job. They usually have law degrees, very high education, and I would like to believe that they have integrity. But humans are humans. We can be petty. We hold grudges. So to think that an umpire hasn't made a call based on a grudge, a petty emotion, is kind of foolish, because we know humans. We've seen humans our entire lives. But again, this umpire called it a ball. And I immediately thought, that's awesome. The ABS system either is fixing that issue with umpires or is fixing the idea of umpires doing that in my head, because I can see it and it can be challenged. So I absolutely love it. And bad calls hurting a team needs to be eradicated if we have the technology to do it quickly without slowing the game down. It's fantastic stuff. I would love to hear what y'all think about MLB storylines. And which do you think is more likely to happen? Do you think the Dodgers three-peat or Skubal three-peating as Cy Young? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to chat about it. Thank you for joining JetKoa Sports. Please subscribe if you like this content.